Hello everybody, I am Conquering History Games and welcome to a new campaign on the channel and the first time I think this series has been on the channel outside of a live stream. I'm talking about Rome Total War, whose audio seems a little bit low right now, but I think it's gonna... Yeah, there we go. That ought to do it. This is what the, this is now just slightly louder in terms of the music is what the live stream I did recently said. But anyway, Rome Total War. One of my favorite games ever. I'm a big fan of the Total War franchise. Rome Total War being the first 3D game of theirs, a true 3D that they came out with the campaign map in the way that it would come to be known by us all. And I've really wondered about, okay, how do I want to introduce this to the channel in terms of being an actual stream? Do I know that it's going to get some sort of traction? Are people going to be into it? How are people going to want me to play? And things like that. And I've decided ultimately, because I found myself asking a lot of the same questions as I did when I first was going to bring Crusader Kings 2 to the channel, I decided I was going to do it just like I did for Crusader Kings 2, in that... it's kind of meet in the middle there. In that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a very short campaign, and then let's let a little bit of feedback come in, and then the second campaign can be much more in-depth. We can go into a lot more detail. We can do a lot more fun things. I can find out what it is that people want to see. So we're going to start by going into single-player mode. We're not going to do the prologue. I'm not going to do the tutorial. Don't worry, I know how to play mostly. So what we're going to do here is we're going to be playing a game as one of the Roman factions. If you've seen the thumbnail and the name of this video, you already know who it is. But one of the things I really liked about Rome Total War, and it was something that they did in Medieval 2 as well, was how you started with only a limited number of factions. Just going to get this fan on. A limited number of factions, and you had to unlock the other ones by defeating them, or you can unlock them all at once by defeating the game. Now, obviously I'm forced to play one of these Romans. We're going to be playing as the House of Brutii, because it is actually my least favorite of the three, which sounds really harsh to say. There's... All three of them are definitely bringing something to the table, but these other two are ones that I really, really want to have fun with. I've got plans with them. So that's why I just want to do the Brutii for a short campaign, because again, like I'm saying, it's just going to be a short campaign initially. Kind of a little bit me shaking off the rust, if I'm being perfectly honest, but also just easing our way back into it, and then you guys can give me feedback and I can respond to it in a relatively short amount of time before doing another campaign. So in terms of campaign difficulty, at least for this one, we're going to go on hard. If it's really a problem, let me know. Maybe I'll do very hard for the next one. And I've talked about this at length in live streams. I made a solemn vow many years ago that I was not going to ever play Total War games on their very hardest difficulties ever again, because the AI just starts to straight up cheat. And sometimes you just end up with these completely ridiculous scenarios where, to use a personal example, you'll have hundreds of cavalry run away from a general and like his 4 to 7 bodyguards. Because they're just so terrified of him for some reason, even though they outnumber him like that. But anyway, let's get to it. The House of Brutii. Okay, so the short campaign, this means that we're going to have to hold 15 provinces and destroy or outlast the following faction or factions: Macedon and the Greek cities, which means we are going to be heading east. And if we're going to defeat the Greek cities, assuming that nobody's going to help us, we're going to have to end up going out here into Asia Minor. That's not going to quite, I think, be enough to get me the full 15 provinces, but it'll be pretty close. We'll just have to see how it goes. But this is going to be a very experimental campaign. Alright, the House of Brutii. The founding of Rome is shrouded in legend. Legend has it, for example, that the Romans can trace their ancestry back to Aeneas, the hero who escaped from the sack of Troy. The founding of Rome also involves violence and murder. Viewed in a certain light, much of subsequent Roman history can be seen as a continuation of these aggressive ways. Since this time, the Romans have kept fine traditions of warfare and high stakes, or even murderous, politics. The Brutii know all about Roman politics. The founding of the Republic of Rome involves them closely, as they've been at the heart of the Republic for centuries, and can even claim to have the father of the Republic in their family. Lucius Junicus Brutus pretended to be an idiot for years to avoid being killed by Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, Tarquin, King Tarquin, basically, the last king of Rome, and then managed to lead his people in expelling the hated king after the rape of Lucretia. Casting aside his idiot persona, he became one of the first praetors, a ruling office of the patrician class, established before the consulship. Lucius Junius Brutus even had his own sons executed for plotting to restore the Tarquins to power. That's power politics played out to the bitter end. Membership of the patrician class is what sets the Brutii apart from the other Roman factions. They are counted among the old families of Rome, those related by blood, marriage, or adoption to the founders. These are people who have always been important within the social hierarchy, people who would expect to have authority as a matter of course. This is why they now have control of southern Italy. The Brutii would not have expectations of power, however, if they had not been able to deliver the political and military skills that Rome requires. But now, perhaps, with Rome surrounded by enemies within and without, there is a chance to secure ultimate power, to become the new imperators of a Roman republic that extends throughout the known world. All right, obviously a lot of this is fictitious, but we'll get into the history of Rome and things like that a little bit later. Let's start with everybody's favorite part of Rome Total War, the intro videos.
We Brutii are the only true Romans. We saved Rome. We drove out the kings. We made the Republic. The family deserve respect for that. Respect and obedience. We know what is best for Rome. New lands, living space, territory, slaves. I know what must be done. The Greeks, they look down their perfumed noses at all Romans, and they hate us. I'm going to give them a reason for hate. When I've crushed them. Roman steel, that's the answer. Roman steel in the Brutii fist. And the other great Roman families. The Scipii, trash. They have no respect for proper Roman ways. For us, the Julii prostitute themselves as if the people mattered. Bah. We Brutii must lead Rome.
All right, good stuff. Always love these loading screens too, both the imagery and the quotes that they use. So here we are in the summer of 270 BC, and we are getting an immediate Senate mission to take Apollonia. Yeah, we'll do that in a minute. So let me just first lay out the situation here for those of you who don't know. This is the absolute bare bones. And again, go down to the comments below and let me know if there's any things that you want me to go into more detail about as we move forward. This will probably be a series that, unlike a lot of my other ones where I will record almost the whole thing, or at least get to the halfway point of it before I start uploading, I might record, upload, or at least maybe not more than 1 or 2 episodes at a time so that I can get a more active feedback from you all. So, the Romans are split up into 4 different factions. You have the Senate, which are the purple ones here. They're just going to hang around Rome. They don't really move from there hardly ever. But they're going to start with they start with quite a large army. They got a big garrison here, and they're going to probably unify everybody here into a big death stack. Then there are the 3 family/factions of Rome that you can play. There are the Julii up here in the north, who will typically, maybe they take Sardinia, but they will go up here into Gaul, maybe over to Dacia, maybe into Germany, usually into Spain after Gaul, but definitely in a different direction than where we're heading. Then there are the Scipii, which only have a little bit of land on the Italian peninsula, but they have a foothold of Sicily, a toehold, you might actually say, because near the toe of the... anyway, so they're going to usually come down here, defeat the Greeks for Syracuse, but that's about it, because then they're going to be focusing on Carthage, who is a huge enemy of Rome at this time, and then get lost in the deserts of Africa running after the Numidians. The Brutii are also typically, and again, this is mostly driven by Senate missions. They're going to be asked to go east, come into Greece, go over to Asia Minor, maybe into Dacia, but probably coming out into these areas like Egypt and stuff like that. And the Brutii are usually considered to be the strongest of the Roman factions when you don't count for things like temple upgrades, which I'll talk about later. Because you have all these great wonders of the world that are out here that give bonuses. So, for example, the statue of Zeus gives loyalty bonuses to the population. The mausoleum of Halicarnassus reduces building construction times by 20%, which is good once you start to have really big cities. Cost of religious buildings because of this temple, and more. There's just lots of good stuff out here to the east. And, when you're running around in the forests of Gaul, you're not really going to find things like that. My plan here is to, obviously we need to destroy Macedon and Greece, so we're going to be going east as well, and probably into Asia Minor, because the Greek city-states should be starting with Pergamum out here. But one of the things that I want to do, because I just want to see how fast I can trigger it, without destroying my economy, is we're going to attempt to start the Marian reforms. So for those who don't know, when you're starting in this game, you have like the sort of original, like not original going back to Romulus, but the Roman army in the early days of the early to mid Republic. This was the army style that fought against Carthage, for example, where you have groups here like the Hastati, which form part of the legion. The Hastati then later, when they get older and they get better armor, they upgrade into the Principae, part of the legion. The Principae become the Triarii, and so there's like kind of scales of the Roman legion. What we want to do is we want to institute the Marian reforms, which are named after Gaius Marius's reforms that he did towards the late Republic, when it was starting to go into a decline. We're talking that period of Marius into Sulla, into Pompey, Crassus, Caesar, Augustus, those falling dominoes kind of era. You don't actually need like Gaius Marius to be born for it to happen. You can do it. The only thing that's required for you to start the Marian reforms is you need to have a huge city. So right now our capital is a large town. If you go to the building browsers here, it can then be upgraded into a minor city, large city, huge city. So once you get the huge city somewhere on the Italian peninsula, you'll trigger the Marian reforms. This does not, I think, include Italy, which is why the Scipii are at a slight disadvantage for reasons that you'll see soon. I know with the Julii, and they're somebody who I plan to do a long campaign of. As the Julii, you can trigger the Marian reforms extremely quickly. I'll go into the details of how you do that when I play as the Julii. But there are maybe some little tricks that we could do as the Brutii as well. And it all comes down to how population works in these cities. So one of the great things that they did here in Rome Total War is every single member of your army is for example, if I wanted to build a town watchman, we're here in our capital has 4,500 people. If I were to recruit a town watch, right there we're down to 4,340, because 160 of them are going to go into the town watch, because that's the standard unit size, as you can see here with our Velites and Hastati. Vibus Brutus, he be vibin'. We're not going to actually be doing that. So there's lots of little tricks that you could do to increase your population growth. Now, one of these two cities are ones that I want to focus on becoming a huge city. And this is actually more important to me than just straight up expansion at the moment, because of the army upgrades that we can get along the way. So we need to look at the settlement details of our two towns. We have Croton here, who has a population growth of 3% right now. 4% of that is coming from its base farming level, and there's 0.5% because there is a land clearance area here, a farmland. But there's 1.5% squalor that's bringing it down. Okay, let's go check out Tarentum, our capital. Tarentum has a base farming level of 4.5, half a percentage point from the farm grades, and also 1.5 squalor. So I think that Tarentum is going to be the one that we're going to go for, and plus it makes sense for our capital to be the hugest city that we have, although we can always move it later, our capital that is. So there's several things that we can do to get our population growth up, because the goal that we're going for is 24,000, I think. So we're going to be here for a little while. first thing is we're going to go to low taxes, which will increase our population growth a little bit. Then what we're going to do is we are going to build a shrine to Juno here. This shrine is dedicated to Juno, the queen of heaven and the wife and sister to Jupiter. She is the special protector of marriage and of women. She also has an aspect as a war goddess. Religion also always makes a people feel happy and content to know that the gods are honored. The shrine can be improved as the settlement grows in size and importance. So what we're basically wanting to do in Tarentum for the duration of this campaign until we get the Marian reforms through is if we're not building a governor's palace or some sort of upgrade, we are doing things to increase the population size. So, for example, communal farming or a shrine. We're going to do the shrine just because it's very quick. It just takes one turn, and then after that, we'll probably queue up the farm. Now, there's lots of things that you could do to increase the size of your capital, which is what we're going to do right here. One of the things, though, is that you can disband units inside of a province, and then that population will be redistributed within that province. So what we're going to be doing down here in Croton, basically forever, is just building peasants constantly, which are going to be made up of 240 people. So that means 240 people are going to get disbanded here in Tarentum every single turn, which of course is in of itself not going to be enough to get us to 24,000. I would have to do that 100 times, and I sure hope this does not take 100 turns, but it's sure going to help because it's going to keep multiplying that 240 as we go. Now, let's start talking about war, because I want to hopefully end a turn in this episode. What we're going to do is we're going to basically assemble everybody that we've got, and we're going to go out and start taking some cities. There's a lot of benefits to taking various cities. Now, okay, what we've got to do here is we also need to be thinking a little bit about money. So I'm going to build... actually, I think the mines are not going to cut it. I kind of like mines. Mines aren't efficient, but there's just something about getting that flat rate of income that's really nice. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to build ourselves, I think, a shrine to Mercury, so we can increase the tradable goods that we have here, and after that we're going to build a port. And as you can already see, we're burning through our money relatively fast, so I'm going to try to do something about that eventually. Okay, so we're going to leave behind this family member of ours, Vibus Brutus, and we're going to take the rest of the family, who includes Amulus Brutus and Aeolus Brutus, down here towards Syracuse, which is a major city. Well, it's a minor city technically, but it's a very important city for our long-term plans for reasons that I'm going to get to in a minute. Actually, you know what? Having said that, that's not what we're going to do, actually, because I want to get the Senate reward. All right, so there's so much to talk about in Rome Total War. I'm going to try to kind of go through it as we go. Things that I consider important just so you can understand what it is that I'm trying to do. So we've built a couple of shrines, and our unit recruitment of Croton here in Croton is complete. So again, let's take a look at how the population works. Right now, we have 4,702... wait a minute. Yeah, 4,702 population here in Tarentum. We're going to now come down here to Croton. We're going to take our peasants, we're going to move them into Tarentum, and disband them, which brings us up to 4,942, which will then be multiplied by 4.5%. You know, it only adds up each time I do that. It's a few more people per turn, but you know, it does add up over time. And in fact, because I think it's going to add up pretty quickly, we're actually not going to build this communal farm area. What we're instead is we're going to build this Temple of Juno, which is going to help keep the people happy. Not that they're anywhere near being upset. We're at 155% public order, but it's the public health bonuses are gonna be good for population growth as well as public order. So we do want to do that. Now, what our next plan here is? Do I want to take the Samnites? No, we can get better mercenaries somewhere else. I think we're gonna take this army and we're gonna move it over here, landing outside of Apollonia. So we've been given a mission by the Senate. The Senate is a very important part of playing as Rome, obviously, and they have policies on various nations. So, for example, Macedon, who it's kind of a short-term goal for us to destroy them, they say, you know, maybe we could weaken them, sabotage them in some sort of way. Let's not actually go to war with them yet. But what's important for as far as interacting with the Senate goes is they've asked us to take this settlement of Apollonia, and in return I'll be greatly rewarded. Now, when it says the phrase greatly rewarded, that should mean we're going to get 5,000 denarii, which is a lot of money and very good to have. So we're definitely going to want to do that, especially because we can just take it right now, this turn, because it's just a small town with no wall. We don't have to besiege it at all. Now, we do want to be careful, because this is essentially our entire army, except for some Hastati and Velites down here, or Velites. I think it's Velites, that are down here, although they have the experience chevron, which is nice. Real quick, explaining the experience chevron, you'll notice here, this guy has a melee attack of 8. If we come over here, melee attack of 7, and there's other differences, but essentially the experience chevrons make your troops stronger. Now, over here, we can now get some sort of mercenaries. I might get the hoplites. Yeah, the hoplites are really good. We're going to hire those. So now we have some of our own. Let's go ahead and attack the town, and we'll start talking about how battle works. Again, we're just kind of jumping right in so people can understand how this goes. Now, I could easily just auto-resolve this. I'm sure it would be no problem at all, but we are going to do it in person just so we can see how this works. Willing obedience always beats forced obedience. Good old Xenophon. All right. So what I'm going to probably do as we go through these episodes, by the way, there's going to be a speech. It's going to be very generic. We don't have to hear it. The fun speeches are later when you're actually facing other factions. So in regards to battle, though, there was one thing that I wanted to talk about real quick. I want to try to have at least one battle per episode. So what that means is what I'll sometimes do, because battles also can take a while, is I'm going to try to go for my about half-hour-long episodes like I usually do, but I'll probably stop episodes before particularly big fights. That way the next episode can start off with a bang. So let's say, for example, we were going to try to take Athens, and it's 2 full stack armies fighting each other. That's going to be something exciting and something that's also probably going to take a little while. So it should be something that you could just click onto the episode and boom, we're right into it. So anyway, we have here our unit cards, which I'm trying to actually remember how we move these around, but it doesn't matter, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to group up our men like so, and we're going to surround this town. Now, I need to come back over here. Now, this town, Apollonia, it's just a very, very small town, as I was saying. Oh yeah, they're not gathering in the formation that I want because I didn't set up the formation before I put them in a group like that. So hey, here's a quick little thing to know. Okay, so I've got this group here. Let's say we were on an open battlefield and you wanted to assemble your men in a certain way. I don't know, like this is just for Okay, let's say you wanted to do something like this, where you have your skirmishers in the front, you have your mercenary hoplites behind. By the way, this is like one of the few good things about the Brutii. That sounds so harsh, but the mercenaries always appear green on the battle map, so they'll match the rest of your army, which is nice. Alright, so let's say you wanted to have it like this. You have your skirmishers up front, you have some hoplites behind, and then your light infantry on the wings, and then like a cavalry on the side, right? So what you would then do is you take all of these. Oh, I actually took the wrong group. Yeah, and if you did that, then now, once you group them as they're in formation, whenever you try to move it, it will move them in that formation that you've created, okay? So that's a super quick thing for people who like to be a little bit more organized. I know I do. Anyway, so we're going to come up here. Let's kind of move everybody over the edge. They're going to approach the city from this direction. Disable the skirmish mode and enable fire by will so that our Hastati can use their pylum. So this is going to be group 1. Over here we've got group 2, who we're going to need to organize a little bit as well. Okay, again, let's get the Hastati over here. Skirmish mode is trash. Alright, the 2 of you, fire at will. Equites, we're actually going to come over here so that they can... take them out of the group. They can flank as needed. Alright, we're going to start the battle now. So, The way this will work is we're going to send in our men slowly at first. Remember, we can always fast forward, though. And I put no battle time limit. I usually like to actually use the battle time limit because every once in a while, even though I haven't seen it happen in years, there will be glitches during battles, and you end up stuck because the battle's time limit will not run out. But Rome Total War's battles tend to be a little bit slower, and again, I haven't actually seen the glitches in years, so maybe I should just start trusting the developers. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. Now, while we get into position, this should be a pretty darn straightforward fight. The only thing that the rebels have going for them is they have these peltats. They have their Greek skirmishers here, javelin throwers, and they have some militia hoplite, none of which are threatening at all. The only issue, though, would be if the militia hoplites end up doing a last stand thing here in the town square, because militia hoplites, they have very poor morale and will typically flee at the first sign of trouble, but they are a phalanx at the end of the day, so they can cause some casualties if you take them head on. So when you have a situation where militia hoplites end up hanging out in the town square where it is impossible for the computer to run away, for any units actually to run away, even if they're human controlled, they just have infinite morale there, then it can become a bit of a problem. So what we're going to try to do is isolate these units. We're going to send one of our generals over here. Try to get them to come out of the square. We're going to approach from 3 different directions, and whichever ones end up not, being covered, then we will send them into the city to take the town square or flank as needed. So what I'm going to start doing now is we're going to tell our own skirmishers here to rush forward and get to work. Alright. Here we go. And as you can see, they are essentially abandoning the town square. Good stuff. Now, later on, when I've got some money and better units, we're going to really have some fun with sieges. But right now, because I have no intention on... I have no cities, really, at all, where I'm going to build troops from. Because, oh yeah, look at all those javelins. Those are some seriously high parabolas, people. We need to somewhat conserve our forces. And even right now, it looks like some of our men are getting a little bit squeamish. Let's try to get my own general a little bit closer so we can kind of rally the men. Now, let's break up the formation here, and let's see if we can't get the hoplites over here in the town square area. Oh goodness gracious. For some reason, my Velites have gone into hand-to-hand combat. Now, the hoplites are approaching my own skirmishers, so we need them to pull back, especially because it looks like some of them have actually run out of javelins. Okay, things got a little bit ugly here. Alright, come on. Pull back now. Alright. So, now, the militia hoplites don't really know what to do. They're actually getting engaged in hand-to-hand combat for some reason. Oh, it seems that some of them have kind of engaged with my Roman general. But now we've taken control of the town center. We've killed about 40% of them so far, and counting, which is really good. Now, let's have our cavalry come in here and start killing their skirmishers while their hoplites try to figure out exactly what the heck is going on. Let's see here. Okay, very good. Up to 61% of the enemy have been killed now and counting. Yeah. Okay, apparently there are some kind of enemy units still in the area. Alright. Looks good. Yeah, the militia hoplites have no idea what's going on right now. You know, actually, now that I think about it, every episode's probably going to be longer than half an hour, because, the battles sometimes are a little bit slow. So this first episode will be as well. We're throwing those pylum at them. Okay, and what we're going to do is I see absolutely no reason for us to continue to fight. you know, to take any sort of casualties that we don't need to. So we're just going to retreat. Now, what would be really good right now is if these units wavered and routed. Okay, Hastati, get out of there. Get out of there. Then we'll automatically win the battle. Got some mercenary hoplites coming up. Alright, stop. Come on, get in formation, y'all. There we go. See, they're turning around. Here come the militia hoplites. Yeah, they're kind of spread out. It's a little bit of a mess, to say the least. Oh gosh, why did you turn sideways? No, 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 no. Rotate, rotate, man, rotate. Alright, stop. You're in guard mode. Drop your spears. Okay. Got 150 of these mercenaries. Alright, they're really trying to figure out how to line up. Yep, there we go. That's good, that's good. Alright, okay, that was a little bit sloppy. But we'll just end the battle there. Okay. So, we've taken Apollonia. That's going to give us a little bit of money. I'm not going to end today's episode just yet, though. But now that we have Apollonia, at least we have somewhere else that we can, in theory, build troops, which we're not going to do. Ooh, I actually made a small mistake here. So we're actually just going to occupy this settlement. I would normally enslave it. I'll talk about my mistake that I made later. Because right now, what we want to do is we're going to just take this whole army. We're just abandoning Apollonia immediately. I really only cared about the money. And we need to come down here to Syracuse, which seems to be extremely lightly defended. And we're going to want to besiege and take that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a great city to have, a lot of money, a lot of grain. But also, it's going to slightly bottleneck the Scipii, because the long-term goal of this game is, of course, when you're doing a long campaign, which we're not, is there's going to be a Roman civil war where you go to war with the other three, and the more that you can stop them from expanding during the time while you're all allies, the better. Now, one thing I also want to mention before we continue on, even though I'm going to be doing the Marian reforms, there are going to be certain things that I'm going to restrict myself from doing, just because I don't think they're fair at all in the game. And I know that there's a lot of things in this game that people can argue about whether they're fair or not. This is just my, I guess, personal own values code. I will not be using the urban cohorts, which is this army unit that the Romans get, which is beyond the Praetorian Guard and is just ridiculously overpowered. Arguably the best infantry in the game, especially when you consider like the cost, like the ratio of cost to how good they are. I'm also not going to use Praetorian cavalry, which is a really overpowered cavalry unit that the Romans get because that's just not very Roman. And yes, I know the point of the game is that Rome, because this is the period of the Republic into the Empire, they should be expanding like crazy and turning Mediterranean into their personal lake. But I just think it's a little bit too strong, and I've kind of debated something, but I'm probably going to also limit how many Praetorian Guards I can have at a time. Maybe something like only one unit per general in my army or something. I'll have to think about it, but yeah, just a little bit of a limiter on myself, because I just think those units are far too powerful. Oh, dang it, I forgot to bring the spy along so they could potentially open up Syracuse's doors for me. That's okay, though. So we're going to end this turn. Do I even want to bother? I guess let's build roads. Roads never get destroyed, so they're good to have. And we're going to probably have this army jump aboard the ship along the way. Okay. Let's go now. Let's go. So there's been rioting in Apollonia. I really just don't care at all. Let's do something like, I don't know, build some farms, so then even when it reverts, it'll still have some decent population growth or something like that. But we have a new Senate mission that has been assigned. They're asking me to send a diplomat to the faction of Macedon and negotiate a treaty for trading rights. Okay, that's very simple to do. So we'll go and do that. And they're going to hold games in my expense, which are not amazing, but they have benefits, which I will talk about when they hold them for us. All right, now we never want to forget to do this. Let's go over here. Go to Tarentum. Disband. Okay, and just like that, we're very soon going to be over the 6,000 point mark. All right, let's come down here near Croton. And we're going to bring the governor along, again, for reasons I will explain later. Okay. So, we've got a good start here. Looks like Syracuse has some sort of reinforcements coming in here, or like there's an army on the outside that we're gonna have to deal with. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, I think. Alright. Oh, it looks like Macedon is approaching us first. That's great. So they want to do trade rights. Absolutely, positively. Let's do that. Now, something I personally like to do a lot is trade map information. Sometimes I'll even actually pay a little bit of money for it. Okay, they want to do me to give them 860 denarii. That's a little bit too much denarii. But I do like to do it just because I like to fill up the map in the bottom left. It's just a personal, I guess, foible. Tell you what, we will, you said 860. Let's cut that in half. Let's cut that in half. How about 430, okay? Right? Meet you in the middle. Okay, they're down with it. I probably could have gone lower, but now we can see a lot more of Greece, or the Grecian area. Now, one of the things that's really cool about doing this is, okay, they want me to take Thermon in the next 10 turns. Thermon in the next 10 turns. So what's cool about this is you can right-click and it'll show you who owns this area, even if it changes hands later. So that's what's great about getting the map information like that. So the games are now being thrown for me. They're holding them in Apollonia, which is not too useful. But when the games are being held, where's the bonuses that you get? I forget where it shows, actually. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. We have a new family member, Severna, here. I'm going to talk about family members more in the next episode, is what I'm thinking. All right, in the meantime, let's go ahead and make landfall, or trying to make landfall. Come on, you. The diplomats are blocking the path. Okay. What can we recruit down here? It looks like we have another available mercenary hoplite unit. Absolutely, we're going to take that. We're going to now declare war on the Grecians. And I guess we'll maybe build a couple siege towers, maybe a ram. How about a siege tower, a ram, and a sapping unit? I like those. Okay, yeah, one of everything. One of everything it is. That'll do. So in the next episode, we will, next turn, we'll attack Syracuse. Okay. Now, peasants, come up here. Disband. Now, I'm not leaving anybody back here, which could potentially lead to the place being occupied, which, of course, would be bad. But we're just going to kind of live with that for now. Let's try to increase the tradable goods, and, hopefully we're going to have a family member come of age or something, and then we can send them down to Croton so they can at least sort of occupy it some of the time, most of the time. Again, details to come later. Now, what I might do here is I think we're going to maybe build one ship, and I can start funneling people over from Apollonia. I think that could be useful, although a teeny bit expensive. You know what? We are going to do that, though. It's a little bit silly, but it's going to happen now. Get used to it. All right. Ending my turn. All right. Now, end of turn report, we're still losing. Tarentum is now ready to go, so we're going to queue up the Governor's Palace. This is why, though, we also need to still have money coming in, because it's kind of expensive. Yeah, we can upgrade the villa to a palace. We don't have to do it right away, but it'll create issues. So, Cassius Brutus has just come of age. So, I'm going to talk briefly a little bit about family members and how they work. So family members are, of course, members of your family. They have various abilities here, including command, management, and influence. Who Cassius here has only one in everything. So command ability, he's at best a yawning gape. Command abilities is at best a yawning gape in this man's personality. Management, this man should not be entrusted with running a shrimp stall, let alone anything important. Influence, this man has almost no influence over his dinner menu at home, let alone his life and the fate of the world. Obviously, you want all of these to be higher up. Command is, I think, the most important, typically, though, if you're going to be making a general. He also has a retinue. I believe it's 8 is the number of max retinue that a person can have. He has a tutor, which is why he has a +1 management. These retinues can actually be given to other people. So, for example, we can take the tutor that Cassius Brutus has and give it over here to Vibus Brutus. So if we'll see here, it now is there. Then we come back, and there it is. You see, and it'll say that these things are happening. Okay, so our character is a command talent, +1/+1 command when attacking, because he's a confident attacker. He's a superior builder. He enjoys planning and the building of settlements almost for their own sake. 5% discount on construction costs and a -1 to squalor, which is actually good. We might actually turn him into the governor. He's positive, which increases morale for all troops on the battlefield, and he has no taste for blood, which increases unrest. Which is negative for the public order, but it'll increase bonuses of my popularity with both the Senate and people. That's interesting. Let's take a look at Vibus Brutus here. He's a useless assessor who's hurting my tax income by 10%. 10% bonus on trade income. He's intelligent. He's a political animal. Okay, it looks like actually Vibus Brutus, or excuse me, Cassius Brutus, what a name by the way, is the one who we actually want in charge of this area, maybe. Possibly. So we're at 4.5 population growth. We're going to be having the governor's palace coming in. Now, here's the thing, though. So we're about to attack Syracuse. So there's a couple of things I want to do first. Disband the peasants, as always. Keep them queued up. Queue them up forever. Let's take a look at some of the other things that are going on here. We've got the land clearance done in Apollonia. Some peasants. Okay, Vibus Brutus. Now, this is what we're going to be doing with these peasants. Just constantly bringing them over. And again, they don't have to be in the city, so if we look here, 6,279, we go and disband them. 6,519, no problem at all. But we've also run out of people in here that we could do that with in Apollonia, so yeah, we've got to stop. All right, well, at least we got the one, huh? So I guess this ship is actually kind of going to waste. I guess we'll go have it link up with the rest of the fleet so that it could be stronger. So the way we're going to start the next episode is we're going to go to war for Syracuse, and then we will enslave it. And because we're going to enslave it, I guess I'll talk about this right now. Then the slaves are going to be distributed throughout our empire, but the way that it should work is they'll only go to cities that have governors in charge. So Cassius Brutus here is the only governor we have in a city, and so we'll see the 6,519 go up by a certain amount depending on how many people are living in Syracuse at the moment. Also, all the other Romans are now at war with the Greek city-states at the same time, which is nice, but I don't think they're going to go and defeat Greece for me. It's just an incidental sort of thing. Now, I don't know who the Senate will probably want me to talk to next, so we're just going to start heading a little bit north with this guy so that he could check out maybe the Thracians or the Dacians, I would imagine, is who the Senate might want us to talk to next. Although it could potentially be Carthage, but I would imagine the Scipii are going to take care of that themselves. I'm also debating buying these mercenary the javelin throwers, just because they're... if I don't buy them, somebody else might. Like the Carthaginians, the Greeks might, because the Greeks do have an army out here. I don't know. But thank you very much for joining me on the first episode of this series. I hope you are as excited as I am and that things were kind of making sense. And please, please, please give me feedback in the comments down below. I'm Conquering History Games. Click the bell and make sure that it's personalized so you'll always know whenever a new video on the channel goes up. And I will see you all next... I cannot seem to... My cursor can't seem to leave. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, I know what the problem is. I know how to fix it. There it is. Okay, so anyway, you all have yourselves a wonderful day. Goodbye.